This is Dwayne Hanson, and my wife Sally, and I live 12 miles in the Spencer Road. And we're the only full-time residents of unorganized township, T5R7. And of course, we're against the power line. The power line actually will be right in our backyard. So I met my wife Sally in 2002 in January on a 2-week winter camping trip. I was helping a friend who guided wilderness trips on remote pond near where we live. The CMP spokesman recently pointed out there was no true wilderness left in Maine, and it was not pristine. Well, I disagree. We have a quarter-acre garden, a fruit orchard, and we hunt wild game and fish, which provides us with food. We have a home business making brown ash and birch bark baskets and hand-forged knives. We choose to hand carry our water, cook and heat with wood, have an outhouse, have an ice house for refrigeration. We have 2 small solar panels which provide us with lights. We try to live as independently as possible, and we don't need any energy from CMP. When I got out of high school in 1972, I went to work in the woods. I lived in logging camps. I cut wood with chainsaws, cable skidders. Back then it was selective cut from 8-inch down into a 6-inch diameter limit, which allowed the woods to be managed for future logging. In the 70s, a friend and I would go to different ponds for weeks at a time, trout fishing through old roads, basically forest, which was easier to walk in than the dense regrowth of today. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to live in the woods. I bought my land around a pond in 1980, built a life there, raised 3 sons, homeschooled them, now have grandchildren. They all love the woods. This area is special to us because we've explored, hiked, bushwhacked, camped, canoed, hunted, trapped, fished here. It is our home. And there are many remote spots that are in pristine wilderness, and the rest I'll just leave to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy Dwyer.
Hi there.
Hi.
So, you've heard a lot, thank you for your patience and perseverance. We've all heard a lot tonight about how precious this place is, and probably the last thing you need to hear is from one old raft guide, one more, telling you how beautiful and how important and magical this place is. And when I first heard about this project, I was in exactly the same position of most of the people that you've heard from tonight. But I work for a company that works for CMP and was involved in the siting of the project. And I did not have the luxury of not learning more. And I did not have the luxury of going with my gut and saying, not here, not here. And over time, I have come to support the project because I believe that we are going to do something really important, which we can't do in other ways. I believe that it's going to impact climate, and I believe that that's our single most important job. Everybody here considers themselves an environmentalist, and I feel that we just don't have the luxury of saying, yes, but not this one. I've come to believe in the need, I've come to believe in the timing, I've come to believe in the siting. And you know, at this point we've heard there's so many conflicting, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but your job is going to be to parse out opinions from facts and to come to a set of conclusions. And I'm just really grateful for the organizations that are going to be doing this review, that have the professionals, that have the, I don't have the expertise. I'm hopeful that the numbers, that the data that's going to be presented and that you're going to analyze is going to support this project and is going to find that it is good for the state of Maine, that there will be benefits in our electricity rates, there's going to be environmental benefits, that the tax revenues are going to be beneficial to the towns, that the numbers work. I don't have the qualifications to assess those numbers, but I trust in the process and I trust in you, and I'm grateful for this next phase of the project and the review. I'm in a lonely spot here. I love these people and I love this place, and it has not been easy to come out for this project. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the work and good luck.
Kimberly Lyman.
This is Mary Haley's submission, and that page gives her permission for me to.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for staying so late. Most everyone here has covered so many of my concerns that I don't need to waste your time reiterating them, and I'll hand in my paper. But there are some things that have been going on tonight that aren't in my paper. One of the things is, I don't know if anyone's noticed the traffic that has gone by here consistently. It's a town of 30 people, but the traffic is crazy on Friday night because everyone from Massachusetts and beyond is coming here to spend time. And all the way, on their way up here, they've been spending money. And then they will spend money while they're here. And then I wanted to address something I only heard today, and it really hit home, is that we need the citizens who are against this and feel horrified and so strongly against this, that we need money to beat this, and that CMP, Avangard, and Iberdrola's pockets are so deep that they will tire us out. And I think it's really sad that the citizens can't be considered experts. They're saying we need to hire experts to speak for us and pay thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is what New Hampshire residents had to do. And I think it is, I think that we should be able to be considered the experts. We live here. This isn't about the Kennebec River Gorge. This is about Jackman to Lewiston. I've attended every CMP meeting. I sat in a meeting of hundreds of people in Farmington, horrified people, who are pointing out and just coming to these realizations that their town supported this before anyone knew about it. And it's going through their backyards. And I don't just mean the not in my backyard thing, that's cliche. I'm talking about people saying, realizing that night that these poles are not the poles we see driving up the road. These are 100 feet tall. Our average tree is 50 feet tall. So we're talking about the massive types of things we can't even picture until you go out west or to places where these are. They haven't been representing themselves accurately. They're doing their best to minimize these projects. They're putting out very inaccurate photos, you know, with poles on the downside of a slope, making it look like the towers are only, or the poles are only a few feet taller than trees. They're using photos that make it look like it's just a little blip on the horizon, when we all know that going down the Kennebec River Gorge, it's not a blip on the horizon. So I think that they've been doing a lot of stuff that's just not true and putting it out there, and they're being considered the experts and they have the money. Well, we're the experts, we really are. And I think that they have the money, they should be ordered to do the studies. One of the things I asked at a couple of the meetings of their expert, on their environmental expert, is what they're using for an herbicide. This is their environmental top guy, and he could not answer my question. And I said, well, entire power lines between Farmington and Kingfield are brown. They're dead completely underneath. And he said at one of the other meetings that they're spot spraying, that someone literally walks out there and spot sprays. So my question is anybody keeping an eye on them? Because we already know of their current troubles, what they're being questioned for, what the lawsuits are for. So they're already in trouble with a few things. But is anyone keeping an eye on the other areas that they're responsible for, such as their herbicide use next to streams, what the herbicides are? Because we're seeing death. They're showing photos of regenerated growth beneath the lines. I see lines that are, 50 years old. It's death underneath them. So they're just talking out of both sides of their mouth, and I think that someone needs to hold them accountable for it, and they should have to prove this stuff, because this guy couldn't answer one simple question: what was the herbicide being used? Towns who previously expressed support and signed letters of support, a lot of that was financial based. Now we're being told, it's being reported, that CMP is going back on old projects, or not CMP, Avangrid, is going back on old other projects and asking the towns to reassess them for their tax valuations so that they can pay less. That's really sketchy. And some of the towns that are just finding this out now are rescinding their support. I do believe that when CMP and Larry Warren come here to gather support of this area, I believe that they told the people of our area that this was a done deal. I believe that they told them they were going to be able to run us right over and make this all happen. So, and I believe that they wanted to get what they could out of it for money to help the area. But I don't think that it's too late for these people that are part of the Western WMRC, however you say it. I don't believe it's too late for you to see all of the double standards and the lies, and to turn around and rescind your support too. I'd love to see that. And save our area.
Hear, hear.
I'm not going to go back to it because it's all the same stuff other people have said, but
I want to make sure your name's on.
my name
Yeah.
is at the end.
Yeah, okay, yeah, got it. Thank you, thank you. Howard Stagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Davis, thanks for being here. You are an important person, as somebody once said. My name is Howard Stagg. I have the distinction of being the highest residential taxpayer in the Forks. Also, I have the distinction of being probably the oldest person that's continuously been in this area off and on over the years. I think I've been in this area every year except when I was in the military. My grandfather was the medical doctor when Lyman Dam was built in Bingham in the 30s. My mother went to Bingham High Schools, the area schools, and she went to the University of Maine. So I want to just say a couple of things. One, I'm not a local, but I am so impressed with the locals' testimony. And the folks that have testified here tonight, they know what's going on in the world, and they've got some really good, strong testimony. So, Commissioner Davis, I hope you express the emotion, the concepts, the testimony of these people that have testified to your fellow commissioners, Williamson and Van Noy, because I think it's really important that they understand what this is all about. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm a real estate lawyer for probably 45 years. I've written agreements like this nonprofit Western Mountain agreement. I'm appalled at the conflicts of interest, and I'm appalled that CMP would actually put in the agreement that these folks, these directors, have to testify that there's no adverse, in effect, environmental impact on this area in order to receive the, I guess it's $22 million. So, my younger years, I've canoed the Allagash. I've climbed multiple parts of the Appalachian Trail. I'm a float plane pilot. I've flown out of Greenville for years. I know this country. Put some balloons up there where they say there's poles are gonna go. Put them up at the same height. Put them in red, put them in yellow. Caution and no. And you'll see that all those poles are gonna be seen across the environment. Others have talked about the adverse environmental impacts. Nobody's mentioned forest fires. I come from an area where 1,000 homes were destroyed a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, from power lines arcing and power companies not doing their job properly. And I also come from an area where I have a generator because CMP has unreliable power. So, good luck to you. I appreciate it. You got a tough job, but I hope you'll listen to the folks around here and vote against this project and make sure it doesn't go forward.
Matt Wagner.
Yeah, how's everyone doing tonight?
Friday night.
So I have a couple, and this could go on. I said 5 to 8 minutes, so I apologize. I've promised 2 things. First, when I heard about this project, I promised my kids that I would do everything I could to get involved and stop it, and I wouldn't miss an opportunity. So the other thing is a promise I want to make tonight, and that's to Joe and Susie and people that are involved in this that I don't necessarily agree with, and that's that I do not want to see this community torn apart.
Amen.
I consider it my home. If I could make a living here, I would. And everyone here is important to me. And I mean, that probably includes Thorn. There's a song, Amazing Grace. Listen to it on the way home. Commissioner Randy Davis, I really appreciate your time. This is a long night. And so I thought I'd read aloud Rule Chapter 330, Section 9. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. So I did kind of get an environmental policy degree, but the whole law school thing kind of scared me, so I slept through some of that stuff. So I totally appreciate what you guys have gone through and that you've come here, and I really hope that you do get off the highway and see the area. I'm Matt Wagner in Knox, Maine. I live at the top of the Sheepskin River watershed just over Fry Mountain, so this does affect me at home too. I also am a camp owner here. I'm here most nights, quite frequently, bring my family here. And so I'm here today to speak on behalf of them. 4 generations of the Wagners have recreated in the greater area, some traveling from as far away as Ohio and Texas to experience the world-class national scenic wonder of the Kennebec River Gorge and the surrounding area. I'll apologize if my testimony is chopped up. I've deleted chunks of it and added stuff in. So as other people have covered stuff, I've tried to hem it out, but then I'll keep talking anyway. I won't stay on the subject long, as I know that others here will share the same sentiments. Oh, I point out that not many people here are testifying that they think that the NECEC project is a good idea that haven't been compelled to do so. And I'm not going to speak for those people, but not a single person in this area is going to happily see this be built. That's important. As towns learn the false figures and the deceptive reasoning that's been used to bait letters of support, towns are pulling those away. In time, you'll see that trend continue. What I would like you to hear, and I recognize that this isn't pertinent necessarily to the narrow scope of your permit article, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is the history that the applicant has built in the upper Kennebec River Valley. Without a foundation of the past, I don't know how we can perceive a fair judgment of our future here. And it may help you to understand the absolute pressure in this room tonight. Central Maine Power Company has in many ways returned to the scene of a crime, perhaps unaware of the oral tradition that we have here in Maine, and that their past transgressions haven't gone unspoken or unwritten. We haven't forgotten the abhorrent taking of Dead River and Flagstaff, the forced exhumation of loved ones from the soil, and the burning of barns built to sustain generations. And the final act of flooding not towns, not areas, but vibrant communities. Then as now, CMP has produced videos claiming the wholesome support of the communities that they destroyed. You can go back in history, the Dead River Historical Society has these narratives. The narrative in Bingham and Moscow is the same, and I encourage you to ask more locals about their sentiments and hear their families' first-hand accounts of their dealings with this company. The illegal and more immoral acts don't stop there. The construction of Wyman, Harris, and Long Falls obliterated the local fisheries. One so strong that they supported commercial fisheries and attracted recreationalists by the wagon load. While Oregon and Washington State built dams with fish ladders, this was deemed too expensive on our dams by CMP. So while other states took appropriate action, we lost our run of Atlantic salmon. Compound this with a scientifically baseless act of drawing down these impoundments in the fall, our natural spawn of fish were left high and dry. And I'll spare you my spite for CMP's lobbying to repeal Fernald's Law, which I implore you to investigate, because if it was in effect today, it would have spared us being in this room tonight. This area has lost much of its population and even its schools. The few that live here make a living in a slow but steadily growing tourist economy. The valley's prime farmland has been put under by CMP, and now they're returning for our hills. On behalf of my family, I ask you to put this bad idea to bed and spare this valley the salt in the wound. Any CEC isn't the straw that broke the camel's back, it's the match that set the barn on fire. Thank you.
Ron McKenzie.
Ron McKenzie.
7.5 minutes. Synchronized watches.
7.5.
Okay, wait a minute.
Gotta get set up.
Okay, tell me when you're ready to go.
Well, let me get into it for a
Okay,
minute.
okay, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. My name is Ron McKenzie, and I live in Arlen Pond. I've been living there, I don't know, longer than, I came right after Howard saw the fossil stash. So, anyway, what I'm here for is really to speak in behalf of my deceased wife, which was Jackman's longest town manager. And this is gonna be a compassionate speech, that's all, and that's why we're all here, just for that reason. And I'm also here to ask one favor of you guys that was not given to me or any of us. I asked Thorne to put up some stakes on the Spencer Road. How many people in here know where? I heard you say that. Huh? Thank I heard you. you say that. How many people in here know where it crosses the Spencer Road? That's it. You guys have no clue.
I had to dig for it.
And I asked him to put in 2 posts, where it starts, where it is. I said, I know you won't give me the full thing because you don't want to show the impact of it, right? When you buy a piece of property, you want to know where that property is. What's the first thing you do? You walk your property lines, right? We don't even know where they are. I'm still finding them now, I'll tell you what. There's people in here that do this line work, they have a hard time finding them. There's a tree that'll be right next to the Spencer Road, and where's the yellow marking? 20 feet in. How do you know where they are? So I had asked him, and he promised me, he talked to the higher-ups, that they would put up something so we can all see this, Travis. You know? So could you please ask Mr. Dickerson to follow through what he said he would do? Okay? I'm running on passion here too. My wife, one of the things, God bless her, is she would come home from work, and when you're a town manager, you take a lot of, grief. And she would say, I'm home to the sanctuary, and she'd sit there and just look out at Coburn Mountain, which is my view out the window, right? And so her urn is sitting right there, staring at this view. So all of this is just coming from passion from me. And I want to tell you some other thing. Everybody talks about the grid, okay, living off the grid and everything. Dwayne and Sally have been living off the grid. They invented the grid. They cut their own ice. They do everything. Now he's living off the grid, and now the grid is being, I'm trying not to swear, jammed up his nose. Not the right spot, but anyway. These people, they would write books about people like this. We'd love to live like that. That's what they want. Can you imagine the impact on that? It's like when the Indians met everybody and they said, okay, we're taking all the land. Sit. Have a good day. What the hell's the difference between that and CMP? That's all I can say. So, another thing is I guess, well, I'm on a rambling rage here. There's strength in numbers, so we just gotta stick together. That's it. And, like I said, how am I doing for time?
You go as long as
You're
you
at 3 minutes, 20 seconds.
No, we're all really here for compassion. I mean, Howard is one of our, I can't say enough about Howard wherever you are. Anyway, yeah, he's a lot of help for us too. He's out there fighting. And I can't, for the life of me, understand what this project is going to do to help us. I just can't understand it. I can't, like I said, everything, I don't have notes. I don't need notes because it's all coming from right here. And I don't know if it's coming out as good as it's headed that way. I implore you guys to just do that. I had dealings with you guys before, myself, that didn't go well. You guys met. No, so I can't say my best friends. It cost me thousands of dollars. And you guys were not there to help me. And neither was CMP. So, that's my speech.
Taylor Walker.
Most of what I had to say has already been said, so I'm just going to submit this, and I'd just like to say that I vehemently oppose this project, and I really appreciate the testimonies of everybody tonight, and I thank you guys for your time, and I hope that you will consider what everyone has said here as deeply as you can.
Greg Caruso.
Well, I wrote this, so I'm going to say it. Hi, my name is Greg Caruso. I'm a resident of the town of Caratunk and owner of Main Guide Service LLC. For the past 26 years, I've worked as a guide in the outdoor industry. 24 of those years as a whitewater guide, master main guide, and year-round manager in charge of hiring, training, staffing, scheduling for one of the largest outfitters in New England. Working as a hunting, ATV, and snowmobile guide, I've brought hundreds of guests up Johnson and Coburn Mountain. As a whitewater and fishing guide, I've brought thousands of guests down through the Kennebec River Gorge.